Are you tired of having problems with germinating seeds? Maybe you plant the seeds and they just don't sprout the way you want them to, you're not seeing the results, and it's really frustrating because, you put so much time and effort into getting your garden ready. This video is going to solve that for you. Hi, my name's Lucas, and in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through some seed starting tips and tricks for various types of vegetable seeds. Some of my favorites like tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, pumpkins, squash, mainly fruiting crops. But some of these tips you're going to find will be applicable to pretty much every type of seed. So let's get into it. I'm going to start out with tomatoes. Tomatoes are pretty forgiving when it comes to seed starting. The one thing you need to keep in mind with tomato seeds is that they need to be at a temperature of at least around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you start to get into those colder temperatures of like the 50s.
Say, Kay, next Friday there's going to be a weenie roast.
Oh, I'd enjoy going to the weenie roast very much.
You probably won't see much germination happen, and even if you do, it'll be very sparse. Average room temperature is typically fine for tomatoes from my experience. Right now, I have some tomatoes starting in my room. I planted them about a week ago, and they're finally starting to show some signs of germination. 65 is fine for tomatoes typically. It's about as low as you want to go. You can go up to 85. I've tried so many different methods of seed starting. My first year, I actually started them in the paper towel method. You dampen a paper towel with some water and you just sprinkle some seeds on, pop it in a plastic bag, and this provides the moisture necessary for your seeds to sprout. And this worked great. Only problem with this method is it's extremely inefficient. It's pretty much just a massive waste of time. As I progressed throughout the years, I realized that with seed starting, you really want to try to increase the efficiency. And that's something that I definitely have not done for most years of gardening. But this year, I've decided to start my seeds in pretty good sized cell trays that I don't plan on transplanting at all until it's time to actually plant them out into the garden. Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent here. I'm sorry, guys. It's Sunday and my hair's a mess. Temperature. Moisture is also very important. Do not overwater your tomato seeds. If you soak your tomato seeds, they will most likely rot. This is just something that will happen. It's not going to be fun. You're not going to be happy about it. So do yourself a favor and water sparingly. This is actually what I typically do beforehand. I water with some lukewarm tap water, then I plant my seeds. After I plant my seeds, I just cover them up with a bit of potting mix. I don't plant them too deep. Only about 1/8 of an inch for tomatoes is what I recommend. After that, sometimes I just give them a little spritz with a spray bottle. This year I actually didn't do that. I just cover them up with the moist soil, and that was it. Cover them with some plastic. As long as there's a bit of moisture in there, that'll be enough to kickstart, to activate those seeds and get them sprouting. You don't need to go crazy with the watering. And I think this is a big mistake that so many gardeners do. It's not necessary. Just keep the soil damp, but not soaking wet, not waterlogged. And I think you'll find that your seeds will not rot as likely, and they also won't have a problem with damping off, which is where the seeds actually, or your seedlings, actually will bend over at the soil line and die before they even really have a chance to get growing. So for tomatoes, you don't really need lighting to get your seeds started. Once they germinate, of course, you do want to put them under some really good lighting, whether that be a sunny windowsill if you're lucky enough to have that. In my case, I always use grow lights. This year I got a brand new grow light. I'm going to be featuring it in an upcoming video, and I think it's going to be great. So you definitely want to subscribe so you don't miss those future grow light bonanzas. We've talked about moisture. We've talked about temperature. Once I plant my seeds, I don't really like to do anything besides maybe the odd mist at the beginning and maybe, a few days in. But I typically like to cover them with some plastic in order to maintain that humidity so that I don't have to keep watering. So that pretty much covers tomato seeds. They typically germinate in about 5 to 7 days if your temperatures are good. Sometimes they can take a bit longer towards the 10-day mark, but if you're not seeing germination by the 7-day mark, I highly recommend you reevaluate your life. I would just recommend that you maybe dig up one of your cells or your cup or whatever you're planting in and just see, is there any roots that are happening? Is anything going on? Because if not, something's wrong. So next up, I want to talk about starting pepper seeds. Now, peppers for the most part are pretty much like tomato seeds. They have a little tougher outer shell. Sometimes they can take a bit longer, more towards the 10-day mark, even getting into 2 weeks. But for most sweet peppers, I find you really don't have to do anything differently. Personally, for the peppers, I recommend getting a heat mat that will keep your soil temperature at least around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not necessary, but it can spur on some germination and increase your rates. And heating mats, by the way, are pretty inexpensive. You can get them at your local garden center or hardware store for, I don't know, anywhere from $20 to $50, $60.
Spend lots of money.
Not this girl.
And it really is just a very small investment. These things will last you for years. And some of them are actually really cool because they have a temperature gauge that you can adjust. And I have not personally had one of those, but those are really awesome because you can set your temperature. You know what it's going to be. It just keeps that consistent temperature that you're looking for. Once you get into the hotter peppers, like the super hot peppers, Carolina Reapers, ghost peppers, that's when they can be a little more finicky when it comes to germination. I actually have a video on that. It's how to start super hot pepper seeds. I'll link it down in the description. You can check it out. It actually involves putting your seeds in the fridge for a bit and then using tea. And a lot of people think it's crazy. It's weird. It is a little crazy, and it's not necessary. I have actually had decent germination on super hots without that method, but it does work. It's tried and true. And if you're really struggling with your super hot pepper seeds, I highly recommend you go check out that video. Just a few little methods to better prompt your seeds into the germination action that you're looking for. But those seeds, I find, especially like the Reapers and the ghost peppers, can take easily 2 weeks. Around 2 weeks is pretty average for what I get. And yeah, that's pretty much it for peppers. Basically the same as tomatoes, just a little more stubborn sometimes. They like the temperatures a little higher in the 80s. And nothing really special. Next up, I want to talk about cucurbits.
Cucurbit.
Pumpkins, squash, cucumbers, those sorts of things. They really do like the higher temperatures, at least in the 80s, even possibly the lower 90s. And that'll really help ensure that you're getting fantastic germination on your cucumbers. And one note about any cucurbit is to take a look at your seed and locate the point on the seed and always plant that face down because the root is going to come out of that point. And so if it's face down, it makes the most sense. You can plant it the other way around and the seed will likely redirect itself. You can plant it on its side, but I don't recommend this. And the reason I don't recommend that is because if you do it that way, you'll have water sitting on top and that increases the chance of the seed rotting. Now, seeds rotting is so annoying. It's so frustrating. It's happened to me so many times. I have had a lot of success with gardening. Over the years, I'm very grateful for the success that I have had. I also have had a lot of failures, and some of which have been in the seed starting arena as well. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. It might be a little late for some of you now. We're getting close to May already. But, if not this year, hopefully you can use those tips for next year and moving forward to really help you hone in on your seed starting journey. What else do I want to say? So I've talked about germination now, getting your seeds to sprout. And that can honestly be one of the hardest parts of gardening, just getting those things to come up. If you're not successful, you can always just go to the store, buy yourself some expensive nursery plants. You will get ripped off, but in a pinch, that's what you might just have to do. I've had to do it before when some of my plants just weren't doing so well. So you don't need light for germination for most seeds. For some varieties or for some types of plants like lettuce, apparently you do need light. But for the seeds I mentioned in this video, you don't. But once they do sprout, you need to really pour on the light. Well, this video was somewhat of a rant, and I just really wanted to make this video for a long time. I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we're getting close to 100,000 on the channel. Well, a little less than 40K away. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit that subscribe button. And I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Lucas, and I hope you have a fantastic day. As always, grow it best.